You're holding it right now. Soft bun, warm sausage, maybe ketchup, maybe mustard. You take a bite and don't even think twice about the name. Hot dog. Wait, hot dog? There's no dog in it. There's never been a dog in it. So why on earth is it called that? Because the answer is way stranger than you think. Here's the twist. For a long time, people genuinely suspected there might be dog meat in sausages. Not as a joke, not as slang. They were actually suspicious. In fact, the name hot dog didn't start as something cute or catchy. It started as an insult. Let's go back, way back to Europe, especially Germany, because that's where this story really begins. Centuries ago, German butchers were famous for making sausages. Not just one type, dozens. Long ones, short ones, spiced ones. But one stood out. A thin, long sausage that looked oddly familiar. People started calling it a Dachshund sausage. Yeah, like the dog. The Dachshund. Long body, short legs. Basically a sausage with a face. So the comparison stuck. And the name? It followed. Now imagine this. It's the 1800s. German immigrants arrive in America. They bring their culture, their recipes, and yes, their sausages. They start selling them on the streets. Hot, steaming, fresh, served in a bun so you don't burn your hands. Convenient, cheap, delicious, perfect street food. And Americans loved it. But there was a problem. The name Dachshund sausage. Yeah, not exactly easy to say. So people shortened it. Some called them Frankfurters, after Frankfurt. Others called them Wieners, after Vienna. But the weird dog comparison? That didn't go away. In fact, it got worse. Because around that time, something else was happening. Food safety was questionable. Let's just say, people didn't fully trust what was in their food. Rumors spread. Whispers turned into jokes. What if these sausages aren't beef or pork? What if it's something else? Something like dog. Suddenly, the joke wasn't just funny. It was edgy, a little disturbing, and very memorable. Street vendors would sell these sausages, and people started calling them dog sausages, then hot dog sausages, and eventually, just hot dogs. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The name didn't become popular because it was accurate. It became popular because it was funny, and a little rebellious. People knew it probably wasn't dog meat. But the idea stuck in their minds. And once a name sticks, it's almost impossible to shake. Now picture this. It's early 1900s. Baseball games. Crowds cheering. Vendors walking through the stands shouting, "Get your hot dogs here." Fast, loud, repetitive. And suddenly, the name spreads like wildfire. Because it's catchy, it's weird, and it's unforgettable. But wait. There's a popular story you've probably heard. About a cartoonist. A guy who supposedly drew a dachshund in a bun. And didn't know how to spell dachshund. So he just wrote hot dog instead. Sounds perfect, right? Simple. Funny. Viral before viral existed. There's just one problem. There's no real evidence it ever happened. No drawing. No proof. Just a story that people want to believe. Because it's neat. But the real story? Messier, stranger, more human. And here's the thing most people miss. The name hot dog isn't really about dogs. It's about trust. Or more specifically, lack of it. People didn't fully trust what they were eating. So they made jokes about it. And those jokes became language. And that language became permanent. Think about that. You're eating something right now with a name that literally came from suspicion and humor. That's wild. But now comes the real question. What is actually inside a hot dog? And how did it go from questionable street food to one of the most iconic foods on the planet? Because what's happening inside that simple sausage is way more engineered than you think. And once you see it, you'll never look at a hot dog the same way again. So what is inside a hot dog? Let's strip it down. Not the bun, not the toppings, the sausage itself. Because that's where the real story is. A hot dog starts as meat, usually beef, sometimes pork, sometimes a mix, but not just one clean cut like a steak. It's the trimmings, The leftover pieces after the prime cuts are taken. Still perfectly edible. Still safe. Just not pretty. So what do you do with it? You transform it. First, the meat is ground. Not just chopped. Ground into a very fine paste. Think of it like turning chunks into something smooth. Almost like a thick meat smoothie. Sounds weird? Yeah, but stay with me. Now comes the key step. Everything gets mixed. Salt, water, spices, sometimes garlic, sometimes paprika. And here's the important part. The salt isn't just for flavor. It actually changes the meat. It pulls out proteins that act like glue. So instead of loose bits, everything binds together into one smooth, uniform mixture. Like turning sand into wet clay. Now you can shape it, control it, standardize it. Next, this mixture is pushed into a casing, basically a thin tube. Traditionally, it was made from animal intestines. Today, many are made from collagen or cellulose. That's what gives a hot dog its shape. That long, perfect cylinder. Not natural, engineered. Then comes heat. The sausages are cooked, sometimes smoked. This does two things. It locks the shape and creates that familiar flavor. That slightly smoky, savory taste you recognize instantly. Then the casing is removed or kept. And just like that, you have a hot dog. Uniform, smooth, predictable. Every single one looks the same. Wait, have you ever noticed that? Every hot dog looks identical. Same length, same texture. Almost too perfect. That's not an accident. That's food engineering, designed for consistency, because consistency builds trust. Ironically, the very thing the name once questioned. And here's your wait, what moment. That smooth texture, that clean bite. It's not natural. Real meat fibers don't feel like that. Hot dogs are emulsified, which means fat and water are blended so finely. You can't tell them apart anymore. It's closer to how ice cream is made than how a steak is cooked. Yeah, let that sink in. Now think about what happens when you cook one. You drop it into hot water, or grill it, or microwave it. What's actually happening? Heat expands the water inside. Pressure builds. The proteins tighten. And sometimes, it splits open. That little crack? That's science. Not a mistake. And the smell? That instant nostalgic smell? That's volatile compounds being released. Tiny flavor molecules hitting your nose. Triggering memory. Triggering hunger. Before you even take a bite. Now bring it back to you. Right now, you grab a hot dog. You take a bite. Soft bun. Juicy center. You're not just eating meat. You're eating history. Immigration. Street culture. Humor. A little bit of suspicion. A lot of engineering. All packed into one simple food. And the name? Hot dog. It stayed. Not because it made sense, but because it stuck. Because it made people laugh. Because it made people curious. Just like you were a few minutes ago. So next time you hear someone say hot dog, you'll know. It's not about dogs. It's about a joke that refused to die. A rumor that became reality. A name that outlived the truth. And honestly, that might be the most human thing about it. If this made you see something ordinary in a completely new way, hit like, share it with someone who eats hot dogs without thinking, and subscribe to Ordinary Explained for more everyday mysteries. And tell me in the comments, what's something you've always wondered about, but never questioned? Because chances are, it's not as simple as it looks. Stay curious,